Hi everyone, my name is Tamit Saleh and welcome to my review and analysis of the chaos that was the German Grand Prix. Please do subscribe if you haven't already, as I will be reviewing all F1 races, and I also release weekly videos on both football and tennis. Now, back to the German Grand Prix. What a race. It had absolutely everything, from 4 safety cars, 2 virtual safety cars, tons of crashes, and multiple pit stops by every driver. We have a lot to cover, so without further ado, let's roll the intro.
Here he is again. That's astonishing. It's absolutely world.
Now, where to begin? Can we please have rain in every race, because that was phenomenal entertainment. In recent times, due to the lack of opportunities to overtake, track position has become crucial, meaning most drivers only pit the required one time and then safely caressing their cars home. Not much entertainment. However, in the German Grand Prix, we had drivers making 4, 5, or even 6 pit stops, which meant the whole race positions was all over the place, strategies all over the place. It was great to watch. It of course also meant that smaller teams with smaller budgets could also compete with the bigger teams. And yeah, of course, we had Daniel Kvyat in the Toro Rosso finishing in the podiums. Great start. Let's start with qualifying, and it could not have gone much better for the world champions. Mercedes, of course, celebrating their 200th Formula One race this weekend, and also 125 years in motorsport. They fully embraced that. We had Toto Wolff and the whole team really dressed up for the occasion in 50s clothing, and they had the Mercedes car painted in white. Qualifying went great for them. Lewis Hamilton came first, and Bottas came third. In the middle was Verstappen from the Red Bull, who split the two Mercs apart. Added to that, their greatest rival Ferrari had a torrid qualifying, with Leclerc finishing 10th and Sebastian Vettel finishing dead last in 20th. They both had issues in qualifying. The race itself started very slowly. It was almost like slow motion, of course, due to the wet conditions. And Verstappen had an absolute horrible start. He started off very slowly. It's very similar to how he started in Austria, where he also won that race, of course. So it seems like slow starts is a good omen for Verstappen somehow. But yeah, the two Mercs, they couldn't have asked for a better start. They ended up first and second in the opening laps. No damage, no drama there. So a great start from Mercedes. The first 28 laps, Hamilton led the race fairly comfortably. And yeah, who would have expected what was about to unfold from there? After that great first half of the race, within 20 laps, Hamilton was 12th, asking how has it gone so bad over the team radio. And a further 5 laps later, he was in dead last. How did that happen? So how it all happened, in lap 25, Max Verstappen pitted and put on dry weather tyres, even though it was raining slightly. He span a full 360 on his outlap, but after that he had no issues. Back markers, who had done the same, were showing signs of improved lap times, which led to the front runners following the same strategy. Leclerc pitted onto slicks on lap 27, and Hamilton came in the following lap. Leclerc's outlap on the dry weather tyres, his car slid and he went straight into the barriers, and his race was over. He was actually looking really good for a second place finish at that point. Hamilton, of course, he's in the pits. The safety car was deployed due to Leclerc's crash. He came out, and into the same corner Hamilton's car slid as well. However, he managed to save it from a crash and only had front wing damage. From there, Hamilton then had to go into the pits again, which led to one of the worst pit stops I've ever seen. It took 50 seconds for Mercedes to change the front wing of Hamilton. They, of course, weren't ready for him. They were prepared for Bottas. And as Hamilton crashed, he really had no choice but to enter the pits. He also had to enter it having gone past the bollard for the pit entry, which meant he had a 5-second time penalty added on as well. So yeah, he went into the pits. No one was ready. They had to. It was like a circus act. They had to rush, find his tires, switch around. And yeah, it took 50 seconds for that pit stop. Hamilton then came out 5th on the track, with Verstappen now having taken the lead of the race. After the safety car, Hamilton managed to climb up to 3rd However, another safety car was deployed due to Hülkenberg's crash. Verstappen and others decided to pit again to change back to intermediate tyres. However, Hamilton was told to stay out. However, the thinking behind this from the team was just mind-boggling, because the 5-second penalty that Hamilton would have to serve would be less damaging under the safety car, as cars are going slower, and he would only lose a few positions to cars that he would be, he'd be able to overtake again quite easily. He wouldn't lose positions to the Ferraris. This call was further proved to be wrong, as Hamilton had to pit within another 2 laps anyway, and when he came out of that pit stop, he was now in 12th position. To make matters worse, as he was pushing to overtake the other cars, he span again, completely ruining his tyres, meaning he had to come back for another pit stop for fresh tyres. Once he came out of that pit stop, he was in dead last. This of course gave Valtteri Bottas, his teammate, a golden opportunity to reduce the gap at the top of the championship. He was 4th at that time, with 2nd really up for grabs, which would have meant like 18 points for Valtteri Bottas to close down the 39-point lead that Hamilton had in the Drivers' Championship. Bottas, he slid at the same corner that Hamilton slid, but yeah, he went straight into the barriers, and that was Valtteri Bottas' race over. How much will he regret that at the end of the season if that lead was to narrow? Our race winner, Max Verstappen, had a poor start, like I've said before. However, through some brilliant driving as well as great strategical decisions by Red Bull, he won the race. Of course, now it means he also had the fastest lap, which means he is now only 22 points behind Valtteri Bottas in the Drivers' Championship, and has extended his lead to 21 points over 4th place Sebastian Vettel. In the first half of the race, he managed to track behind the Mercedes. He was in 3rd place, and then errors from the world champion gave Verstappen that opportunity to go into the lead. He only made that one mistake, like I've said. He span a full 360, but then beautifully controlled it and then carried on without further mistake. I must say I'm a big fan of Max Verstappen, and this performance in these conditions will further enhance his reputation as one of the best drivers on the grid. As always, his amazing fan base was there. It was like a sea of orange in the stands, and yeah, they go to every race, and yeah, great support that Max Verstappen has. And I think it is because of that we're having the Dutch Grand Prix introduced again next season. Sebastian Vettel had a brilliant drive too, in some ways, atoning for his mistake from last year where he crashed whilst leading the race and of course leading the championship. Since then, it must be said, he's not looked the same these last 12 months. However, he was in great form this weekend. He started dead last after not being able to participate in qualifying. In the opening lap and the opening few laps, he slowly made his way through the grid, and he was running roughly around 7th before the madness began. At the end of the race, where he put on the fresh tyres, he managed to power through and get that 2nd place finish starting from last, which was incredible and a brilliant drive from Sebastian Vettel. It was a brilliant race day for Toro Rosso as well, of course. Daniel Kvyat, who's on his 11th race since returning back to the team that sacked him in 2017, finished 3rd. This really shows that in the wet conditions, the smaller teams have a real chance to compete with the bigger teams. And it was really refreshing to see a new face on the podium. Of course, it's not Kvyat's first podium, but recently, of course, we've had the podiums dominated by Mercedes, Ferrari or Red Bull. So it was really nice to see someone else on the podium. After this performance, questions are now being asked whether Daniel Kvyat deserves another opportunity in Red Bull, especially after the start Gasly's had and the race again in Germany where Gasly's, finished outside the points. We had brilliant performances all through the grid, especially from Stroll and Albon as well. And yeah, now we've had 3 amazing races in a row in the F1 calendar. We had Austria, we've had Britain, and now we have Germany. All great races. It's a great advert for Formula One after, it's been criticised lately of being a bit too boring and predictable. And yeah, France didn't help, which was a really dull race and very uneventful. But these 3 races have shown why F1 is so interesting, and let's hope this continues. I personally really want to see more wet races, as I found, Hockenheim amazing. And I really hope that Hockenheim doesn't leave the F1 calendar. Of course, next year it's not going to be in it, but I really hope they come to some sort of an agreement with the financial terms. And yeah, let's keep Hockenheim going because it is a fantastic race and I really don't want to lose it from the F1 calendar. It really gives a chance for overtakes. And yeah, the track is beautiful. I, of course, played the F1 game, and one of my favorite tracks to race in is the German Grand Prix. I'll quickly tell you the top 10 from Germany. It was, of course, Max Verstappen winning the race, followed by Sebastian Vettel and Daniel Kvyat. We had Lance Stroll in 4th, Carlos Sainz, Alexander Albon, Roman Grosjean, Kevin Magnussen, Lewis Hamilton in 9th, and in 10th place, Robert Kubica. After the German Grand Prix, I'll tell you how the top 5 looks in the leaderboards. Lewis Hamilton has 225 points. Valtteri Bottas has 184. Verstappen 162. Vettel 141. Leclerc 120. So yeah, after Lewis Hamilton's worst performance in years, he's actually managed to increase his lead at the top. This was, of course, due to the Alfa Romeos being demoted and Hamilton moving 2 places up, which yeah made him finish 9th and earn that 2 points. Like I've said, Bottas had the chance to close the gap but failed to do so, and instead Verstappen now is only 22 points behind Valtteri Bottas. And yeah, what Verstappen is doing in that Red Bull, it's amazing. His teammate only has 55 points in comparison. It really does look like Lewis Hamilton is powering his way to another Drivers' Championship. But let's hope for more races like this because this was a great race. And yeah, Verstappen, he's staying ahead of the Ferraris, and now he's almost, putting pressure on Valtteri Bottas as well. We only have 1 week to go since the next Grand Prix. This is like a back-to-back F1 races. And yeah, the next one, the Hungary Grand Prix, is this weekend. Lewis Hamilton has a very good record there, and it's a strong track for Mercedes, who really need to bounce back from the German Grand Prix. Let's hope that it's, even at least half as exciting as the German Grand Prix, and it will make a fantastic race. I can't wait for that, and I hope you tune in. If you've enjoyed this video, please do leave a thumbs up, and as I've said before, subscribe for more race reviews like this. And also, please leave a comment with your opinions on what you thought of the German Grand Prix and anything to do with F1 really. Thank you very much.
Game, set, and match. Game, set,